I watched the wash cycle while my marriage spun. 2 a.m. rules at a 24-hour laundromat. I didn't come to clean anything. I came to keep the lights honest while the night tried to edit the facts. At 2:03 a.m., the laundromat on Maple looks like a submarine that finally agreed to be helpful. Portholes of glass, a low hum, small lights that refuse to dramatize anything. The floor smells like soap and hot coins. A sign on the change machine says exact BILLS, only in a font that believes in consequences. I fed in a 5 because I wanted quarters and clarity. My name is Adam. I make product roadmaps for a living, schedules that pretend the future has an aisle number. For months my wife, Lily, and I had been living like competent roommates auditioning for the part of ourselves. The big storms were behind us. What we had left was weather, mist, drizzle, days you call fine, until fine feels like a mistake intense. At midnight she'd texted, "We're way behind on the shelter install. Might crash on the office couch. Don't wait up." Not a lie. A hallway. I have followed enough hallways to know they all lead somewhere, even if it's only back to where you started with different fatigue. The washers here take quarters like judges take evidence. Exactly, without gossip. I rented a cart, bought a blue box of soap pellets because it seemed like the sort of decision you can be trusted with, and loaded our hamper like I was demonstrating competence to a camera. The drums woke. Water began to negotiate with fabric. I sat beneath the bulletin board where people sell treadmills and forgiveness. He came in at 2:19 with a duffel bag and a posture that tried not to trespass. Ben. I recognized him from photos in Lily's Slack thread. Operations lead, good at tying knots and not making them sound like metaphors. He wore a hoodie with the nonprofit logo and carried a roll of gaffer tape like some men carry an apology. He saw me. I saw him. Neither of us pretended the spin cycle was louder than recognition. "Adam," he said, lifting 2 fingers like a scout trying to be small. "Didn't expect anyone, or I expected the kind of anyone who doesn't know my name." "Ben," I said, "couldn't sleep. Laundry improves the odds." He smiled with relief that didn't ask to be forgiven. "We finished the south wall," he said, because that was the truth available. Lily tried to finish the day too. The couch did its best. He set the duffel on a folding table as if proving it was not a weapon. "You mind if I take machine 12? "I mind guessing," I said. "12 is yours." The sentence came out like a towel finally remembering how to be dry. He loaded machine 12 like a man who has been taught to return equipment in better condition than he found it. Quarters clicked. Water confessed. Soap took a breath it deserved. We sat on opposite plastic chairs that know more about people than their owners do. "I don't owe you an explanation," he said to the middle distance. "But I like how the lights in here don't let you do bad math." "Do your kind," I said. "Lily's asleep at the office," he said. "Real asleep. A banner that says Community Matters tried to be a blanket. It failed but did its best. She told me to go home twice. Home had a sink full of dishes and a mirror that wouldn't shut up, so I came here to listen to machines judge me instead." He looked at me, not at my hands. "She's your person," he added, and because he didn't owe me the sentence and made sure it didn't have splinters, I believed him. "Okay," I said, "thank you." In the corner, a laminated sheet explained stain removal like it had solved war. A washer coughed, then remembered its training. We watched the circles. There's a point mid-cycle where the clothes flatten against the glass like a planetary map. I thought of our calendar at home, the squares we fill with logistics and call that love. Ben nudged the cart with his toe. "You two do rules?" he asked. "I don't mean the household kind. The kind that tell you where to stand when the theater leaves." "We do," I said. "We used to do them like we meant them. Lately, we do them like we're trying not to be dramatic. I glanced at the corkboard. A pen hanged from yarn like a condemned idea. Got any? One I stole from an old crew chief, he said. No trials after two. You can stack pallets after two. You can say you're scared. But after two, nobody gets to be found guilty. I laughed and the room forgave me. We need that on our fridge, I said. We keep mistaking exhaustion for evidence. Write it down before the dryer cool-down makes you feel brave, he said. He tore the perforation off a dryer sheet box and handed me the cardboard like it was a legal pad blessed by soap. Put yours next to it, or it'll evaporate. I wrote like the quarters were watching. If a night lights you up, invite me while you're tying your boots. I'll come if I can. If I can't, I won't turn your light into a report. No photogenic secrets. Nothing we'd enjoy telling better without each other in the story. Touch in daylight every day. Even just a wrist at the sink, a forehead in the hallway, a shoulder while the coffee decides what it wants to be. Right of reserve. When the voice wants to climb, step back and read the load size before you rename the problem. If either of us starts wanting to be wanted somewhere else, say it while it's small, not after it has luggage. NB, rules are tools, not weapons. He read them without grating. Good, he said. Add one from the floor boss who saved my first back. Eat before you try to win. Donuts before weapons, I said. A man at a diner taught my friend that. Smart man, he said. Diners and laundromats write the only policy that works at this hour. My phone buzzed on the folding table, skittered, stopped. Lily, asleep here, don't drive, breakfast. Elle, a beat later, come see the site at 8. We'll pull the tarp together. The relief I felt wasn't triumph. It was weight redistributing to the correct beams. Good, Ben asked. Not curious for sport, but because that's what crews ask when the rigging holds. Better, I said. She invited. We moved our loads like men, not auditioning for better men. The dryers ate quarters with professional appetite. Warm air did the old magic of turning wet into memory. Ben stood, stretched the kind of stretch you earn by carrying things for a living, and said, "You okay?" "I'm not worse," I said, "and we have tarps to outwit." He grinned. "Tell the banner I said it tried. It'll want to hear that." We shook hands, the grip of two people who knew how not to crush. When he left, the door chimed small and decent. I taped the cardboard rules inside our laundry cart so I couldn't pretend I'd misplaced them. A minute later, I set them under the magnet shaped like a boat on our fridge, drew a grid on the back, checked the box labeled wrist because I went to the sink and touched daylight where it hides in the steel. At 7:50, the field looked like a patient animal. The tarp sulked. I approved of it. Lily stood with 2 coffees and the face she wears when the next hour will include repetitive labor and small kindness. Her hair made good decisions. She handed me the cup marked black because after 10 years she does not conduct experiments on the innocent. Breakfast, she said. Machines, I said, offering the cardboard like a treaty written by mariners. She read it with the gentleness she keeps for drafts she'd like to keep, and the ruthlessness she uses on anything that wastes volunteers' time. No trials after 2, she said, smirking. That smells like Ben. Credit him, I said, and credit the thousands of quarters that taught me about patience. She tucked the rules into her hoodie pocket as if paper deserved to be warm. Come help me with this sulk, she said, nodding at the tarp. If that isn't an invitation, I've lost my nouns. We took corners like a truce and rolled back weather with our wrists. A volunteer named Priya waved and kept moving because she trusted us to finish the idea we were holding. Ben arrived with a pink box because civilizations are measured by their ability to prioritize donuts. He set it on a spool and said, "Eat before you try to win." And nobody argued because sugar is a better attorney than pride. "Do we make a donut rule?" Lily asked me. "Only eat them before we aim for victory," I said. "After that they're just apologies." "Then this is victory fuel," she said, and bit with competence. Work loves to be believed in. The tent decided to forgive our earlier doubt. Stakes obeyed. Chords made their case and won. When a knot misbehaved, Lily looked at it until it remembered it was line and not plot. Ben moved through the space with the modest authority of someone who knows where the weight goes. At 9:58, people arrived who needed something to be true. At 10, the tent opened and did its job like someone had practiced carrying the weather so strangers didn't have to. During a lull, Lily tapped the cardboard rules against my chest and said, "Let's say something out loud while it's still small." "Okay." "We got polite," she said. "I want to get exact." "Exact is a quiet revolution," I said. "My favorite kind." "So you'll come when I text come, and I'll mean stand next to me while I do the thing I chose, not rescue me from consequences. And when you text come, I'll read it like an invitation, not a subpoena." "Deal," I said. "And no trials after 2, even when we are certain we are tired." "And donuts before weapons," she said. "And wrist every day," I said. She reached for my wrist and squeezed daylight in a gesture. "Daylight," she said. "Daylight," I echoed, and Ben, passing with a length of cord, said daylight, as if religion had finally agreed to be practical. We closed the site with fewer clouds than forecast and more gratitude than planned. In the car, Lily taped the cardboard to the dashboard with 2 strips of gaffer because some call sheets deserve to ride shotgun. At home, we moved it back to the fridge with the boat magnet, our private parliament. I filled 2 squares on the grid, invite while lacing, wrist, and missed one the next day and told the truth about why. It turns out the grid likes honesty more than completion. That week we argued at 3 in the afternoon like citizens and split a donut like a treaty at 4. On Thursday, I turned off my laptop at 10 because the wrist rule will not enforce itself. On Friday, she texted Vini by mistake, Italian autocorrect, and I arrived anyway because invitation outranks grammar. Saturday night, we watched a load of towels tumble and took turns nomming the colors out loud because nomming prevents forgetting. Every now and then, when neither of us can sleep, I drive to Maple and rent a cart from a machine that assumes I'm trustworthy. I sit under the bulletin board and reread stain removal for stains I do not have. Sometimes Ben comes in with a jacket that smells like honest weather, and we compare knots and rules like men who have learned to love maintenance. If one of us says, "No trials after 2," the change machine accepts our bills without complaint. If you came for scandal, I owe you a soda and more interesting friends. Here, what I have: a cardboard slip with 6 lines, a tent that forgave the sky, a man who knew when to step back, and 2 people who decided the opposite of a secret isn't a confession, it's an invitation. The rest is care. Eat before you try to win, no courts after 2, hands steady on the tarp, and a wrist every day in daylight. The instant a life chooses to stay exactly where it's wanted. Need another one in the same style? I can drop it straight into chat again, no links. Or, if you prefer files, I'll package zip plus UTF-8BOM for easier downloading.